there's so much external pressure coming at us on a daily basis, whether it is from our peers, whether it's from social media, whether it's from the culture that we're seeing play out in front of us. And it is so important for us as women, as daughters, to come back to this place of identity. And I know I've already spoken to that, but I really do believe that it's so foundational for everything that we are and how we live our lives. Because I think about my own daughter, and maybe this is just a little side note, but I remember this story with her when she was about 6 years old. She's 8 now. But I had gotten up early one morning and I had sneaked up to our guest room. And I was spending time with the Lord, and I had my worship music on, and I was in the Word. And I thought I had gotten up early enough where, I wouldn't be interrupted by little kids, but she found me about 20 minutes in. And I heard her little feet hit the floor and run upstairs, and she opened the door, and she's like, "Mom, what are you doing?" I said, "I'm spending time with Jesus. Why don't you come spend time with the Lord too, with me?" So she came and she sat in my lap, and I said, "Frankie, let's ask Jesus a question. Let's ask him, Lord, what is one of the reasons why you love me? Or what's one of the things that you love about me?" And so she's like, "Mom," I was like, "Come on, let's do it. Let's see what he says." So I was like, "Can you do it for me?" She's like, "Okay." So we got quiet and we both asked the Lord, "What's one thing that you love about me?" And after a few, I don't know, it's probably 30 seconds or so, I said, "Frankie, did the Lord speak to you? Did you hear him say anything?" And she said, "Yeah." I was like, "Come on, I want to know. What did he say?" And she said, "Well, he said that he thinks I'm funny, and every time I laugh, it makes him laugh too." And, I think for me, obviously I just immediately got emotional. I got tears in my eyes because here's the 6-year-old little girl who doesn't necessarily feel these external pressures yet, but she will. But I get to remind her of that moment where she heard God speak to her and she heard God say one of the things that he loves about her. And so that's what we all have to do, no matter how old we are. I mean, I'm in my 40s now, and I have to constantly come back to the Lord and say, "God, what is it that you love about me?" Because you're going to feel these external things coming at you, these expectations, these pressures where you feel like you have to live up to it, or you have to feel like you have to be a certain way, act a certain way, look a certain way, sound a certain way. You do not. What is God saying about you? What does he sound like? What does he look like? Because that's our goal, to look like him, to sound like him, to be Jesus to the world around us, so we can take the pressure off and we get to come back to that place as a little child, as a little girl, and sit in our Father's lap and just say, "Daddy, what do you think about me? What do you see when you look at me? Why do you love me the way that you love me?" And just listen for his voice. Write down what he says, because those will be the things that anchor you. And go to his word, because in his word there's so many promises. There are so many ways that he describes his kids, that he delights in, that he loves. You are beloved. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. You are chosen. You are set apart. All of these things, we write them down and we stand on them in those moments where we feel like, but everybody else is saying this, and I feel the pressure to be this. You can throw off that pressure. You can throw off those external voices and tune into the voice of God and ask him what he says about you. Because what he says about you is never to shame you. It's never to take you into fear or pressure or anything like that. He is always going to call you higher, but he's always going to speak in a loving way. He's always going to speak truth over your life. He's always going to speak in a way that brings encouragement and life to your soul.